Hi everybody, Paul Cameron here from SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com with a clip from our monthly jobs-driven networking group, which meets in Wheaton, Illinois every third Thursday. Let's take a look.
So this is Rich Bradley. So he is IT recruiting, primarily Chicago area, but open nationally. Former leader on the Illinois Search and Staffing Association Board of Directors, which is how we initially came in contact. You've been recruiting since 1982?
Yep.
So 38 years, if my math is correct.
You're on fire with math today.
Right on. And we'll keep that going with the Pinnacle Society. And to me, that's something that, you know, in the recruiting world, Pinnacle is something that we aspire to. This is the 75 highest producing recruiters in the country. And in order to get in that society, you have to qualify over a period of 3 or 5 years to even apply. And just because you qualified last year doesn't mean you're going to be a member next year. You have to re-qualify every year. And Rich has been a member of the Pinnacle Society for 25 consecutive years, which is amazing. And there's a handful of people who can say that in the country, less than 10. And it's certainly been a blessing for me to be able to work alongside him for so long. I can tell you firsthand, he is a relentless scheduler and call planner, and just sticks to his plan more than anyone I know. I've got a story, and I meant to ask you ahead of time, Rich, so I won't share it or share too much detail, but I have a favorite story about how important that planner is.
Oh, go ahead. I know the story. Go ahead.
Amy was about to deliver. You get to the hospital and you tell her, wait, I forgot my planner. And you went home. Your wife is in labor.
Went to the office.
Okay, I'm sorry. Went to the office to get your planner and come back while she's in labor so that he had his planner there while she's delivering. I don't want that to exaggerate that story there, but I mean, that's what happened, yes?
It's close.
Okay.
Close.
I mean,
middle of the night, one of the first nights that I'd ever forgotten to bring my planner home. Middle of the night, she's 3 weeks early. She says, my water breaks. We get to the hospital, and I realized I'd left it at the office. The office now was only a mile away from the hospital, so it was close. I looked at the doctor and I said, when is this going to happen? He goes, you got hours. And I said, I'll be right back. She still was ready to kill me, but I was back in plenty of time.
Okay. But still, even if it was across the street, for Pete's sake,
I knew once she had the baby, she was going to be sleeping. I still had work to do. So there you go.
Nice. All right. But I mean, if that gives everybody listening here just how important that planner is to him, that's inspirational to me anyway. And I want to look into the questions here. So some of the questions from the attendees, and I shouldn't say some, all of the questions from the attendees are about interview follow-up, although our focus was going to be around networking. So I've got a bunch of networking questions for you, and we're going to start out with some questions about interviews and interview follow-up. So I guess we'll start out with, when is it appropriate to follow up with a company after an interview? Let's say you asked them, hey, when should I follow up? And they said, well, we're not sure. What's too much and when?
There's two answers to that. There's an answer for Paul or I, people of our ilk, if you will. And then there's an answer for the 60 some odd people that are listening in on this. The clients expect that from us. They may not even like it, but they expect it from us. They understand our business and that we're salespeople and we're doing what we have to do. So we can probably be a little bit more, you used the word pushy or too much, but we can do that a little bit. Now, even today, or I should say yesterday, I had a client, look, I'm going to have you work on this job. However, I can't we're in the middle of this project. I can't take 3 calls a day from you. You got to dial it back a little bit. So they'll at times tell me that as well. And I'm sure you've had clients tell you that too, Paul. But at the same time, I'm not pushing because of what's going on for me. I'm pushing because, a candidate's resume is out there. They've had an interview. we understand, and this is a quote that we use in our world, time kills all deals. That's on both sides. I mean, as a candidate, yes, you interview at a certain company, but you're doing other things too, and the longer you wait after, you interviewed with somebody today, white hot, I'm excited. Tomorrow, still excited, maybe not as white hot. The next day, maybe not as excited. And, a week goes by and you aren't as excited as you were from that day that you first talked to them. Same thing on the client side. I mean, they talk to somebody there, that person's foremost in their mind. And as every day goes by, they tend to forget you from what's today, Wednesday? They've forgotten a week later, next Thursday, that person. So you have to compress as much as possible for both sides. So from your standpoint as a candidate, you've got to stay in their mind. Those of you who've gone house hunting, if you see 4 houses in one day, you have to give it some differentiation. Oh, that's the one that had that purple room, or that's the one that had the weird tree in the front, whatever. You have to have some one kind of way, or all 4 of them seem the same. So with these clients, you've got to make sure you let them know you're the person with the purple room or the weird tree or whatever, So a thank you note, a call afterward. Let's say you've talked about some subject, and then you happen to see an article that is exactly what you talked about. Maybe a follow-up. Hey, you know what? I just happened to run across this article that was in such and such publication or on LinkedIn. I thought you would like to, see that. Little things along the way that you can do that will keep you at top in mind on their side without being pushy or too aggressive. And one of the ones that I forgot to mention, that you can have as one of your steps is reach out, as an invite from LinkedIn, let's say, and send them hey, it was really nice to meet you. Again, make sure that you don't want to do every one of those all within 5 minutes, because they remember you for 5 minutes and now you've lost your longer term kind of time period. But you send a thank you note right after your call, and then the next day, if you see an article, or that's your day that you send to LinkedIn, your system that you're using would be, I think, probably really nice, where they could have that kind of checklist where they kind of systematically kind of have their approach. But wouldn't that work for that? Can you use that?
That's yeah. In my Trello search management boards, I've got checklists for every step along the way of when to follow up and how to follow up. And for the members of the program, we've got full templates and email templates and call scripts and the whole bit. But for somebody who doesn't want to get into that much structure, this is a good outline for them.
Yeah, and I actually, on my own side, I have my systems. I call it Cadence. I mean, for me, it's the steps that I do, and each thing I do, I have cadences for. I mean, the steps that I go through to keep tabs with employers, the steps that I have to go through and keep tabs with the applicants, and the steps that I have that I go through, whatever. I mean, so I have my cadences of, I do this on this day, and then a week I do this, and 6 months I do that, and blah, 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 blah. So, you just need to have, as I said, my wording, you just need to have your cadence of every time I have an interview, these are the steps that I'm going to, if I like the place, obviously. If you don't like it, then it's a moot point. But if I like the place, these are the things that I will do every time, so that you don't miss a step that could potentially be very valuable from that standpoint.
Out of 10 candidates, for example, who are interested in a position, how many of them follow up, after you've spoken?
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, with recruiters even, I mean, I, as a recruiter, I'm human. I mean, if somebody has sent me a thank you note, if somebody's, from a conversation we've had, I have some candidates who will send me, hey, you were talking about such and such. They do it with me, and those are the candidates that I remember. I mean, those are the ones that, anytime I have a company I'm talking to, they're the ones hey, I had this really good person, by the way. I mean, those are the people that I'm going to, put to the top of my list of priority as well. So
after an interview, you've had the interview, they don't know when you're going to follow up, when they're going to tell you.
And you know this about me, and I know you do this as well. So I guess it's not a question that my candidates would ask, because before you leave the first call or the first interview, you should know the steps so that you know that, so you're not having to go, oh, what am I going to do now?
Right.
I mean, we will go through that with candidates. Here's what you need to ask before you walk out the door, or before you let that leave on the Zoom thing happen. Here's what you have to do. So my candidates wouldn't do that, and so I would suggest to these 60 some odd people, don't let that happen. Make sure before that call ends that you find out what's the next step.
Yep. And what's interesting, I just kind of want to step out of this conversation as recruiters and just point out to everybody watching that as recruiters, we've got a set of steps that we're giving to our candidates. You've got to do this, and then do this, and then do this. Why are we doing that? Because we work on 100% commission. So if you don't get the job, we don't make any money, at all. So, and we've put in all this work and all this time. We want to make sure that our candidates are the most qualified for the position, number one, but then that they do the steps necessary to land the job. And I don't know that most candidates think it through to that point. Oh, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and they have a cadence for before and how to follow up after.
I got you using the word already. Yay.
I think that's great. That I never really objectively looked at the fact, hey, we've got all these steps we're giving them, but if you're not going through a recruiter, or you don't have somebody who knows the steps, whose livelihood depends on having a proven successful set of steps to go through, it makes it harder for them to land a job. So I highly encourage people to do that. Now I'm going.
It doesn't mean you won't get the job. It's just
right.
I'm all about control, and I used to teach my recruiters this. You have to have control, and people would be like, oh, I don't want to try to control anybody. You're not trying to control anybody, but you need to know, if this happens, this is the path that's going to go. If this happens, this is the path that's going to go. You just need to know so that you can control, well, what path do I want to have? I want to get to a job offer, right? So this is the path I have to get it to. If I don't get the job offer, well, then I'm moving on to the next thing. But why sit there and have 12 things and, oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of interviews, but I have no clue. I mean, you want to have as much control on this as possible, so that you're not just waiting for luck to happen to you. People sit there and always have said to me, oh, you're just so lucky. No, I don't agree with that. Good things happen, but it's because I set the path up so that those will happen for me.
I hope that was helpful for you, and please check out the rest of our YouTube channel for more tips and strategies to help you with your job search. Just look for Speed Up My Job Search, all one word, or use the link on your screen now. Now, if you'd like to join us at our next meeting, just go to drivestaff.com/JDNG for details. Each month we cover a different aspect of networking to help you sharpen your networking skills and to help you build your network with the other attendees. Now, if the location or the time doesn't work for you, we do have an online version available as well, and you can still network with us in our online private member forum. I'd love to meet you at the next one, so I hope you can make it. Thanks for watching.